So today we're going to talk about a basic introduction to some color theory and color mixing. I've already kind of shared with you guys that I want us to get in the habit of only really starting with 3 colors on our palette and black when we're using things like acrylic paint or tempera paint or even block printing ink or things like that. You'll also have a white added in. Now, when we get into mixing things like skin tones and different things like that, we will talk a little bit further about different colors to add in. But to start and to build a foundation, your watercolor palette from here on out should only have these. So you can see I've removed the orange, green, purple, and brown. We'll go over how to blend the 3 primary colors, which is what red, yellow, and blue are. They're the primary colors, and black in order to complete out both of these charts. So your charts are going to be different. I'm actually going to print onto the watercolor paper, but you'll be doing the same activity. So before we get started, I do want to talk a little bit about kind of color theory and the purpose of the color wheel itself. So color theory is a study of the relationship of colors and color mixing and understanding how colors work together. The purpose of the color wheel is it is a basic diagram that helps inform and show the relationships among colors. It also helps guide the mixing of colors. So there are a few parts to the color wheel that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the primary colors, the secondary colors, and the tertiary colors. Those are going to kind of be the foundational colors that we work with. Obviously, there is an infinite amount of colors that you can mix, but for the sake of understanding it, we are going to simplify it down and just focus on those 3 for this activity. If you can master mixing a primary, secondary, and tertiary, and then you can kind of understand how to look at colors and how to see them, it will help you greatly and you'll be able to mix any color. One of my goals as an art teacher is for Art 1 students to leave my class with the ability to look at any color and find the best way to mix it or find the best equation or recipe to create that color. Okay, so let's get started. First, we're going to focus on the primary colors. So as you get your color wheel, we're going to work through kind of labeling these. So you should have 12 sections of your color wheel. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so this is going to go around and start here. So this very first color is going to be red. So I'm just going to put an R right there. And then obviously you're going to kind of move around. So you would have red. Eventually we'd have red, orange, 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 yellow. So then yellow will be sitting right here. Okay. Yellow, green, 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 blue, and then we'll have blue here. So I'm going to go ahead and just fill in this red, yellow, and blue, which again are our primary colors. Get used to thinking about primary colors as the foundational colors of your color wheel. Any color, technically, in theory, it's theory, right? Color theory, it's not totally concrete. But in theory, any color can be mixed from these 3 colors. Yet, the true essence of these colors cannot be achieved by mixing any other color or by mixing any other colors together. So they can mix any color, but they cannot be created by any other color. So remember, watercolor works with water. Now, we might end up with some kind of interesting blending with this as we go through the wheel, but that's okay. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to just go ahead and simply paint my red, my yellow, and my blue slice of my color wheel. Okay, so I don't have these like absolutely perfect, but they're filled in. Remember, watercolor goes where the water is. So be careful as you're working on your color wheel. You might accidentally merge 2 of those. That's okay, just do your best not to. And one thing that you'll see too is how I'm setting up my palette for mixing. So I have my 3 primaries here, and I'm leaving some space for my secondary and tertiary colors. Also in this palette, this technically isn't for mixing, but if I'm using black, I tend to like to put it in that section right there. So I have my 3 primary colors kind of set up on my palette. As you switch between colors, if you feel that your brush isn't getting clean enough, you have kind of two options. You can go clean out your water cup itself if it's getting too dirty, or if you want to use the paper towel that you grab for setup and kind of clean it off a little bit, that might help too. Okay, so now I'm gonna move into my secondary colors. So secondary colors are made up of a primary color and a primary color. They are orange, green, and purple or violet. So you'll hear those kind of interchange. So we're gonna have those be right in the middle. So if we're adding two primaries together, think about this kind of as it like closing in a little bit. So we're combining red and we're combining yellow, and that's going to create orange. So I'll put an O right there, orange, okay? And then again, blue and green are gonna, or blue and yellow are going to combine to make green. Okay, and then red and blue are gonna combine to make purple or violet. So I'll just call it violet for the sake of this activity. Okay, so I have my orange, my green, and my violet. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through mixing those. So again, how I like to do that is I like to bring my tray here, and I tend to add some water to the tray first. And then I'm gonna grab some red, and it's equal parts. So you wanna make sure that you are having kind of an equal amounts. Visually, sometimes that's not a perfect, science, but you're gonna wanna make sure that it looks like it has, this color itself looks like it has equal parts of red and yellow. So to me, that looks pretty good. It might be a little bit too yellow. So you can kind of keep working on it because we're eventually going to make a red-orange and yellow orange and things like that. So they're gonna swing heavier to one side or the other. So for now, I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's a good orange. And some of this too will help me understand how you see colors, what you do, and things like that, and just kind of how you tend to naturally lean towards different things. Okay, so I have my orange, and then I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my green. So a similar thing, I'm gonna mix it on this side, so it might end up touching my yellow, but that's okay. So I'm gonna put some water in my pan, get some blue, oops, and some yellow. So whenever one color leans to a different side, of the color wheel, whether it's a color that's like a blue-green or if it's a color that you're trying to decide if it's a warm color or a cool color, whenever it's leaning to one specific color or one specific side, that's called a bias. And you can just think about it kind of favoring one side. So we'll talk more about that later, but I just wanted to go ahead and throw that word out there. Okay. Mix my green. Cool, so there's some of my green. Again, if you feel like, so I'm noticing on my red right here and on my orange, there might be a little too much water. So if you see that happening, you are totally able to grab some paper towels and carefully blot it up, soak some of it up. Never rub it, okay? Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my violet or my purple. So I'm going to mix that right here. So that's gonna have equal parts blue and equal parts red. Again, that equal parts isn't necessarily mathematical. Sometimes it's just visually it'll have equal parts or appear to have equal parts. So there's my purple. That's a little bit, so this is a good example of what I'm saying. So see how that has, it looks like it has more red in it than it does blue. So I'm gonna add in just a tiny, tiny bit of blue to get that true violet color. Okay. All right, so now we're gonna move into our tertiary colors, which our tertiary colors are 1 part primary and 1 part secondary. So you'll see that they will kind of blend as we close these gaps. You'll kind of see those relationships with each other. So first I'm gonna do red-orange. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take this red that I already have in my palette, and I'm gonna pull some of my orange that I've created in there. So you can see that that's starting to be a little bit more of a reddish orange color. So it's not quite red. And if you feel that you need to continue adding things to get it kind of towards one side, you can do that. So I'm happy with that. There we go. Tertiary colors are the hardest. It's kind of like those middle values whenever we're working on a value scale. Those mid-tone colors can kind of get you, those middle ones. Okay. Cool. Alrighty, so then we're gonna do the same thing on the yellow orange. So I'm gonna use the orange that I created, and I'm going to bring some of it into this yellow right here. And you can see how that's not quite yellow, but it's not quite that orange. And if you feel that you need to add a little bit more yellow, go for it. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that color. So same thing, you're gonna bring it in. If you start painting and you realize that you need to add in a little bit more of one of the primary colors in order to truly get it, go ahead and do that. So I realized I might need more red. There we go, perfect. Okay, and then we're gonna move on to yellow, green. Same thing, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, red. So I'm gonna speed this up a little bit while I work through the rest of these tertiary colors. All right, so I have my color wheel mix. I just realized I forgot to put these in. So this is a green, or actually a yellow green, because yellow, it's favoring the yellow side. Then this is a green, blue, blue, violet, violet, red, red, orange, and then an orange, yellow. Okay, so this is your color wheel. Once you have this done, you should have a pretty decent understanding of how all these colors work together. In the next video, we're gonna work through some color rules, some value scales, and different things like that.